what's going on, everyone? Just thought I'd give a quick, E3, catch up, based on what's, caught my attention at the moment, and, of course, before, the all-important, Nintendo Direct later today, which I'm pretty hyped for. So far, E3's been pretty average, for me. I had fun watching the Xbox Live conference with the Juices Loose crew, so check out, that video if you haven't. It was a good laugh and certainly made the conference more, far more bearable. Microsoft started off really strong, really strong. We were all actually, impressed and, quite excited from what was being shown, and overall, they clearly have games. Ori and Widow the Wisp, God, once again, is already, a game of the show, for me, one of those games. It looks incredible, and obviously you had Keanu Reeves, he was a laugh, but even then, even Cyberpunk, was just another trailer, even though we've already seen, gameplay of it. But man, less than halfway through the conference, the Xbox conference, things started slowing down. We saw way too many CGI trailers for games. The news of Xbox Scarlet, it done nothing, for me. All the tech speak, never does anything for me. I want the games, and then for me, the reveal of Master Chief in Halo Infinite was, once again, just something that left me feeling, completely meh, without any gameplay. Sure that, it looked nice if it was in game, which, I believe it was, but it's just another cutscene of Chief being, jumping out of a spacecraft as if we haven't seen this before, and I can't get excited for Halo games anymore, unless I see something really revolutionary with the gameplay, and that's what I need to see, for Halo Infinite. Nothing new came out of the Bethesda conference, that I'd be singing and dancing, after I caught up with it, but nothing, from them ever really, does that for me, with Bethesda, apart from Doom, which still looks, incredible, and, I still can't wait to play that game. Ubisoft, again, started off well with Watch Dogs, 3, which looked pretty fun, to be fair, and I like some of the ideas that they had in it, bringing in from other games, that they've done before, like, Zombie U, being able to, once your character dies, you change over to someone else, but then, that show just took an absolute dive into boredom, and God, it was just a terrible show overall. I mean, Just Dance and all the stuff that they were doing. I know it's their products and everything, and they know they need to show them off, but as a conference, it was just horrendous. Devolver Digital, had me rolling, through most of that, most of their, conference, the games shown weren't exactly, mind blowing, and we've seen some of them before, but their take on the on their Nintendo Direct, was by far the most entertainment for me, and I recommend watching it. I caught, dribs and drabs at a PC conference, which seems to have some good games as well. It's still stuff I need to catch up on with that. And this morning, I've managed to catch up with the Square Enix stuff, which seemed, like a better show, for the most part. Obviously the biggest game was Final Fantasy VII Remake, being shown more gameplay and everything, which. I have a lot to say about, the Final Fantasy VII Remake, so I'm going to save that for another video in the future. But overall, games looked fine from Square. There's still stuff that I'm interested in. Although, something seemed off about the Avengers game. I know we got different, faces for the actors there, which is fine, but just something seemed off. And once again, I need to see some solid, actual gameplay, to for me to actually make a decision on how I feel about that game. But man, overall, I think there was one major theme for this show, and that was most games coming out in 2020. We're in June, most games coming out in 2020. With Scarlet being announced for 2020, it's tempting not to touch, most of these games, in order to see what they look like on the next generation consoles, which, is going to happen. These are going to be rollover games into the new generation. You can see that theme where, another reason probably why Sony wasn't there, but you can see them just winding down these consoles now and waiting for, next generation. But anyway, that's the future. One thing I thought I wanted to talk about in this video, just to make it more than just a bit of a quick catch up. There's actually a few things, which are EA BioWare and Larian Studios. And Larian Studios, they're the developers behind the Divinity original Sin series, of RPGs on PCs, and I believe they come to consoles, as well as recently announcing that they are the developers of the new Baldur's Gate 3. I watched an absolutely awesome interview about Baldur's Gate 3 with 2 seconds. I had to write their names down because these are guys I didn't actually know. Where is it? It's on my phone. Sorry, 2 seconds. On my phone I had it. Here we go. The interview was with Sven Vink, I believe his name is, from Larian Studios, and Mike Merles from Dungeons and Dragons, the desktop board games and all that stuff. I watched this interview, not long after I saw the EA reveal of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, where we had that loud-mouthed, absolute muppet of a man, Greg Miller. The man, he finds it so necessary to just scream at everyone and laugh at his own bad jokes. I honestly can't stand that douchebag. But anyway, he brought into onto the stage, onto like the casual outdoor looking stage, Vince Vampella, who's the head of Respawn, someone else I've never like the look of, just based off, once again, interviews in the past and everything. And another man was Stig Oz. Stig Osmussen, I can't pronounce these people's names, who I believe is the director of this game, and who I also believe was the director of God of War 3, but I think he also worked on previous God of War games in other various roles. Now first, I have to admit, I laughed as the Xbox logo chimed away at the end of that reveal trailer for Jedi Fallen Order, because I remember saying to myself, or perhaps I mentioned it in my previous Sony video, with them not being at E3 and should they have an obligation, blah blah blah. I remember thinking, why should these developers, show off their games on Sony hardware if Sony aren't at the show? And here we have EA, in my opinion, making a statement, or perhaps Microsoft, more likely pay them to show the Xbox logo, or just perhaps I'm looking into it too much, But either way, it was funny to see, for me. But when I was listening to these guys talk about Star Wars, first off, I'm sure they themselves were, lamenting the fact that they had to, deal with Greg Miller, barking questions at them, But my attention was focused on the developers' expressions and their answers to his questions. More to get a feel of how they actually feel about this game that they're creating. For the most part, I had to ignore Vince Vampella, who crossed his legs, leaned back casually, and honestly just looked like he couldn't give a shit. No matter how hard he tried to express he was excited, I simply wasn't buying it. So mostly my attention was on Stig Osmussen. I'm gonna have to listen to that guy's name, who was leaning forward and had also had the buck passed him by Vince to essentially answer all questions, which says a lot in itself. Stig, done well enough to to obviously thank his staff, and give as much information about the game, while showing some passion towards the project, But man, let me. What I want to do, I want to show you quickly just two discussions here, highlighting two different sets of developers talking about two different projects, but essentially talking about the games that they are making, and let me know. If you can see the difference after I show these two bits of footage here from these two different interviews.
There's a lot of people who liked it. Like, what does that feel like to finally show this game?
Oh, it's great. I mean, being involved with this team, Stig and his team have done an amazing job. They've put so much of themselves into this game. To be able to be involved in something like this is just, dream come true.
Yeah.
Agreed. Huge shout out to the team.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Everybody who busted their butts on the demo, but also the whole game. The whole game is coming together right now. So it's an amazing feeling. I'm just so proud to be up here, and I hope that Star Wars fans understand that we're really doing our best to try to honor the brand.
What are we missing by not having our hands on the controllers? Like, what do lightsabers feel like?
I mean, it's fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Like what?
Because it looks like it's got weight to it, and throwing it and catching it, right? Like that's the impact I think I want from it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's really satisfying. I mean, the game itself, it's thoughtful combat, as Stig likes to call it. It's what you saw was a really good player.
Yeah.
Right. So you'll
right
have
over
to
there
work up
again.
to
He'll
that
give out
stuff.
autographs after this panel.
In terms of bringing it to a modern audience, tabletop gaming is essentially about using your creativity with the systems that are presented to you. So what we're doing is giving you an easy way to access those systems and then letting you fool around and then have the game react to that in ways that you didn't expect, so that when you're playing it, you get the feeling like, can I do this? Oh, that worked, I can actually do this. And you get all excited about it as you're playing it. And it's something that we try to do with Original Sin 2, but we're pushing much further now with BG3.
Yeah, and I think that process is such at the root of Dungeons & Dragons. You know, whether you're playing a video game, a computer game, or playing at the tabletop, it's that sense of discovery,
Yeah.
you know, that open-ended nature of it, you know, and I think that's why the collaboration has worked so well, because we have such similar design goals. What was fun for me, from my standpoint as creative director, is you're sort of setting the table, but you're not really making the meal. You're letting other people come in and pick out what is it that they want to use, and it's been really fun seeing that evolution, you know, as you've been working on the storyline and approaching the mechanics. You know, I mentioned earlier, I like the feeling of being a fan again, you know, where I just see someone working, and obviously there's a collaborative aspect, but at one point, you know, at some point, obviously in our creative relationship, like we were set and then you're going off and executing, and we're just getting updates back. And it's really like, I think I'm as excited as anyone else to play this game, right? Like it just feels so cool to see D&D coming to life, but then see other creators coming in and making their mark on it.
So, you know, could you see the difference between these two people, you know, talking about their games, you know, essentially? For me, it was, you know, night and day. You know, the clear passion, engagement, and excitement from Sven and Merles when they were not only talking about Baldur's Gate 3, but also their passion about Dungeons and Dragons, you know, D&D, and mixing these worlds together into video game form, you know, for me was just utterly intoxicating, and not only got me more excited for Baldur's Gate 3, but also reminded me that there are developers out there who truly, really want to make something special because it stems from their love of these things in the first place. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, these two interviews were in different environments. You know, Larian Studios didn't have Greg Miller breathing down their necks, and, you know, there wasn't a fake crowd cheering at every bloody spoken word, you know, but still, you could just get a feeling from some people when it comes to them talking about the things they love. In some ways, I perhaps felt, a little sorry, or Actually, let me take that back. Let me rephrase that. You know, perhaps I would have preferred to have had Stig Osmussen in a different environment, where I might have got a better impression from him that he's really in love, you know, with this project, and is pouring his heart and soul into making it, you know, as well as Vince. But, you know, Vince sits at the top somewhere, I bet. You know, but this also leads me, you know, quickly onto BioWare. You know, some of you might not know, but it was actually BioWare who was one of the original developers for the Baldur's Gate series. You know, where they later moved on to other D&D games like Neverwinter Nights, which I still own. You know, and, you know, I asked myself, actually, speaking of Neverwinter Nights, they got announced for the Nintendo Switch as well and other consoles, and, you know, and they got the updated versions. But if you're into real classic RPGs, you know, I can't recommend these these games enough. But anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah, you know, could you imagine BioWare making a game like Baldur's Gate 3 now? And, you know, I came to the swift answer of no. You know, I bloody couldn't. And that in itself is a crying shame, right? And also highlights how much that studio has changed from their RPG roots. Changed in a bad way, unfortunately. Whether it's the fault of their own or the lingering shadow of EA with owners who probably look as uninterested as Vince Van Pella on stage, who I'll never forget from his last appearance in a previous E3, which was awkward as shit, if you all remember that, when he first announced Jedi Fallen Order and didn't even show the game. They just said, hey, yeah, we're making it. I'm sure there are people in EA and Respawn who are thrilled to get the Star Wars license, but at the same time, without a doubt, I feel they probably didn't have the creative freedom to do what they really wanted to do, and that in itself is a crying shame. As sometimes you can look at a game, the universe it's based in, and your imagination just goes wild, and you think, man, surely these great developers must have the same ideas as me, and then some. And if you might think, at the end of the day, it's Star Wars, what more can they do? We just go back to the past and think of all the Star Wars games we've had. Think of all the Star Wars games we've had, but I don't want it to turn into a Star Wars rant. Fallen Order looks fine, but it didn't blow me away. But at the end of the day, I'm happy to see a single player focused Star Wars game in this universe. I mean, we should see him anyway. We shouldn't be acting like this. We should see him anyway. And I'm sure overall, it'll be a solid title, on the lines of Tomb Raider and stuff. But should you not expect this from EA, one of the biggest game developers in the world? But anyway, one thing I love about E3 is seeing oh, excuse me, sorry, I got a really tickly cough. Is seeing the developers show off their games, talk about them, and most importantly for me, try to get a better look at these people creating the things we love. This is E3, right? Not just a game show, but also an industry show. And I think it's important to have at least an idea of who's making what we play for many reasons. I feel nothing from EA. Absolutely nothing. I can't even class them as a games company anymore. I really can't, because they just don't get, I just don't get and see anything from them that screams this is what they truly love anymore. Which, as I said, makes me feel sorry for the studios under their umbrella. Whoever still have that fire or once did, but have that, they've had it snatched out of them, because money and is more important than vision and creativity when it comes to EA. But little EA rant there, sorry. But anyway. Just some quick thoughts, before Nintendo tonight. I won't be doing a live reaction, streaming or anything, but I am looking into getting into streaming. I think it'll suit me and time better if I stream. But I'll record myself, as I watch the show and upload, that straight afterwards. After that, I'll do another video where I'll give my picks of my games of E3 and talk more in detail, as well, of E3 in total overall. But so far it's been pretty some good games mixed in here and there, but I'm not overall hyped this E3. But anyway, let's let the show finished. It's like I said, it's been stuff, but let me know your thoughts, just about what I talked about and what your quick thoughts are of E3 so far before Nintendo. And leave your comments and take care. Peace.